Oh, hey there. Come on in. We're just about to start. Welcome to My Wife, the Dietitian, a fun weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I'm Rob, and together with my wife, Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative and entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
Join us each week as we strive to help you with transforming your overall health and relationship with food through up-to-date, evidence-based nutrition information.
Today we have a very powerful interview with registered dietitian Sandra Thies. Sandra runs a business called Embracing Intuition, and she's passionate about intuitive eating.
I think that our intuition and trusting our gut, there's so much power there. And when we can tune into that, that's when we can step into feeling empowered and free in our bodies.
Join us today for this eye-opening discussion on diet culture, body image, and intuitive eating.
It's Rob and Sandra. Welcome to My Wife, the Dietitian.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, Sandra.
We have another Sandra today, dietitian Sandra Thies. She's young, energetic, and passionate. She has a private practice, Embracing Intuition, and she helps her clients with intuitive eating.
Oh,
she's
awesome.
Also an educator at University of British Columbia, and she's teaching nursing students about using intuitive eating principles instead of BMI and always focusing on weight for health.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Sounds like she's got her plate full of awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's a really a great interview, and it's well worth the listen.
All right. Well, let's get to it.
Hi there. We're here with Sandra Thies, and Sandra, welcome.
Hi, Sandra. This is so funny to be having a conversation, Sandra and Sandra. So
that's right.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good thing that our voices aren't identical, or Rob would just be his mind would be blown.
I'm going to be the one that's going to be confused.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a registered dietitian, and I'm also a certified intuitive eating counselor. And those are kind of my credentials, but I feel like I do a lot more than that professionally. And my practice is called Embracing Intuition. And in a nutshell, I help women rebuild a positive and trusting relationship with food and their bodies. And
I love that. Sorry, I had to I'm just vibrating. I didn't realize that like, that's just awesome. I love who you help and how you help. That's amazing. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I find that I talk a lot about, how to listen to our bodies again. And I find that with diet culture and how pervasive it is in our culture and society and through social media, people have really gotten into the habit of listening to those external signals. So trying to think about what time it is, or whether or not you worked out that day, or what you ate earlier, or what you're going to eat later, in order to make decisions about what they want to or what they should be eating now.
Right.
And what I help people do is turn down the volume on those external kind of diet culture rooted signals and messages, and really bring the attention and the focus back to what our bodies are telling us and how we can listen to the signals that our bodies are producing all day, and then trust and honor those and make decisions on how to eat or what to eat or how to move our bodies based on those. In intuitive eating, which we will talk some more about, but that skill of listening to those internal signals and honoring and responding to them is called interoceptive awareness. So I will use that term later just to have a bit of a definition. But
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's have you heard of that, Rob?
I haven't. I'm all ears though.
Yeah, me too. And I'm actually really connected to my hunger cues, and I'm feeling like darn, I forgot to eat lunch because this is just afternoon. But yeah, I'm just the internal hunger is starting to growl.
Yeah, it's coming up.
That's right.
And then, kind of aside from the intuitive eating focus, well, one of the principles of intuitive eating is also body respect. So within my practice, I've done a lot of extra education on body image and how to incorporate this into the intuitive eating work that I do with clients, because I believe that we can't really talk about our relationship with food without addressing our relationship with our bodies. So
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my
body
gosh, is
image
that ever
work
true?
is, yeah, it's hard. And often, the struggles with food and food rules and dieting behaviors that we have can be traced back to being, you coming from body image struggles, and they result because of a desire to change our bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I kind of combine intuitive eating and body image work, as well as, principles of nutrition and, how the body works the way that it does.
Wow, that's so incredible. I really appreciate your just your focus and how you can help people, and the language you're using is really powerful. Like it just comes through in this interview. Are you finding that, Rob?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. That's good to hear. And it's interesting because that you say that, because as a dietitian, in that kind of clinical education, we don't learn a lot about how to talk to clients in a way that they understand. And since I graduated and kind of have come out of the clinical world, I learned that very quickly from clients that I needed to develop some language that people would understand. And when we talk about diet culture and intuitive eating and, hunger and fullness cues, there's a lot of jargon in there. So I find that it helps when we kind of dig into what that actually means a little bit. Otherwise, it kind of just flies over people's heads a bit.
Yeah. You kind of have to rewire people's brains almost to think of the stuff in a different way, right? Like it's probably challenging for people to understand what you're saying in the beginning, and then they kind of come around because we're so used to the perceptions and the things that we've learned over time, and it's changing how we think of those things.
Definitely. And it's, we get into our habits and our routines, and it's really hard to unlearn those things that we've been doing for so many years.
Yeah, especially when those things are still such a big part of our culture, and with social media, it's even a stronger message. It's in our face 24/7.
Completely. And, I see it a lot with the younger generations too these days. I'm starting to work with even, some teenagers or some parents who are concerned about, the eating habits and body image struggles that their kids are having. And you think about how much time people spend on social media listening to these messages and looking at, fitness accounts on Instagram or before and after photos. And they get these ideas that they need to be smaller and they need to be different and they need to eat this way. And it's so sad.
I know. Oh
And
my
there's
God.
so
You can't see my head right now, but I am so nodding my head just completely. I just so agree with what you're saying because, we have young adults and they're all, just we know their friends and their social circles, and social media is huge. It's a big part of their life. It's a big part of how they spend their time and their energy. And what you're saying is hitting home totally.
Yeah, it's important to touch on because young women are so impressionable and vulnerable, and it's kind of scary to think about the huge and lasting impact that those harmful messages can have on a large part of their life for a long time.
Oh, for sure. We did an interview a little while ago with a local person who runs she's like a fitness instructor, and she's teaching the same things that you're teaching with, body image, and every body is acceptable and those sorts of things. And she was telling us she's around 50, I think. Hey, Sandy.
Yeah.
And she said that she struggled with that for most of her life. And we were blown away because we thought, oh, this is something that, because she said, I struggled with body image and eating disorders and that sort of thing. And we thought, like back when she was a teenager, but she said, no, it was like well into my 40s, like as an adult, that I finally came around and realized and changed my attitude about things, or, and it was amazing that, how long it affected her. And she's a powerhouse now. I mean, like, she is so, her message is so strong, and she's so good at getting it across. And yeah, tons of respect for her and what she's promoting.
Well, and it's sorry, just to interrupt. I think the thing is, when you said about her age, it affects people through their whole life spectrum. I mean, I see people in long-term care, especially women that have, that have issues with listening to their own internal cues around food and eating and hunger. So it's not just younger women, or, like, there's no, like, it can and men too. I mean, it affects everybody, really. Like, it's and I think people lump the words like intuitive eating and mindful eating like all together, and they just kind of, a lot of people just like go, oh yeah, that again, like kind of just shut it down. But I think it's really good that we're talking to you today, because just to bring it out in the forefront again and just talk about it, because it is such a driver of people's desire to be healthy. And it's like cosmetic. It's about like how you look. And what we want to talk about is health, and, and listening to our body and accepting our body for who we are and what size we are. And, there's so many different messages, but anyways, I'm sorry, I could go on for a long time.
No, I totally relate to what you're saying, because I also work in long-term care and I see the same thing. And in the beginning, when I started my practice here in Kelowna, I got mostly older women, between the ages of 40 and 60, who were interested and kind of sparked a bit of an interest in this work. And I found that they were particularly motivated, because they were like, yeah, I've spent my entire life dieting and going on, yo-yo diets, weight cycling. I've lost weight and gained weight. I've done intermittent fasting and keto and all of these things. And they finally get to this point where they say, I am just done. I am done with it. This has not worked for me. And it's taken them up until that point, like that long, to make a decision to do something about it. And I find that working with those women is really rewarding, because we can make some small changes and shift the mindset and the perspective a little bit. And so many things change for them. And I've had a lot of success with women in that age range. And they say to me, I just feel so free of it all. And it's a common piece of feedback or remark that I get from them is, why didn't I start doing this earlier?
Yes.
And it's interesting then to work with women who are in their 20s and 30s. And part of me feels like so thankful that they are recognizing this and starting down this path at that age, because they very well could just, disregard it and keep trying the diet thing for a couple more years because it just might work. And then eventually realize that, it never worked and it probably never will. So I might as well find a way to make peace with the body that I have right now.
Totally. Yeah. Yes.
And it's not giving up. It's just, it's changing how you look at things. Right. And it's kind of like going in a slightly different direction. And it still doesn't mean you're unhealthy. It just means that, you've changed your perception.
Yeah. And one of the sayings that I see go around on social media a lot that I do agree with is, you can't hate your body into loving it. And it's what a lot of people tend to do is they fight with their body so much and then expect that one day they're just going to be comfortable in it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way.
That's so true. I never thought of it that way. But is that ever true? Because I mean, it's like everybody's theme is just 5 more pounds, just 5 more pounds. Life is going to be better when I lose just 5 more pounds. But really, it's so unrealistic. And why would life be better at less than 5 pounds?
Like, it's
right?
not true. Like, what can you do in 5 pounds lighter that you can't do right now? Nothing.
Yeah.
I know. Exactly. Oh yeah. It's for years I taught the Craving Change course in our local community, and it had such an impact. And I can mirror what your thoughts were with those women that you taught, like the 40 to 60-year-old women with your groups. And it was the same thing, like the yo-yo diets and the history of basically dieting and hating their body since like teenage girl years, years ago. And they finally are with the Craving Change. That was a great course. And we're actually going to be interviewing the creator and the developer of Craving Change, Wendy Shaw, the dietitian, in next month. So we'll have that for the listeners. But it's such a great way to shift perspective, is just like, reasons for hunger and your hunger and fullness scale or cues, and, just like reframing how you think, because it is all about, rewiring, as Rob mentioned, rewiring how we think about our body, how we think about food, how we think about our hunger. Because I think there's so many societal and external cues that are telling us how we should be thinking and eating and how our body should be. So anyways.
I hear you using the word should a lot. And I try to get that word out of my clients' vocabulary, because when you say
should all over yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it just makes you feel guilty.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Should. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I think that, there's all these opinions and rules and, lists of good and bad foods out there that you can find online or from different people that are preaching different things in the nutrition and lifestyle and wellness space. And I believe above all else that food is a wonderful source of pleasure, and that everybody deserves to get satisfaction and enjoyment out of what they're eating. And we have multiple opportunities every day to get that. And so many people are missing it. And it makes me sad that people aren't enjoying their food.
Yes, totally. Oh my gosh, that's so true. And following some arbitrary food rules, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. So is that like kind of in a nutshell, like one of my questions was like, what is intuitive eating?
Yeah. I mean, in a very roundabout way, yes.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah. And it does encompass a lot of different aspects. And we talk about hunger and fullness and satisfaction. And we talk about body respect in there and incorporating gentle and joyful movement. And at the end, we also talk a little bit about gentle nutrition aspects. And so really kind of coming back to what I said at the beginning, intuitive eating is about trusting your intuition and learning to listen to your body's signals, trust them and honor them, and know and recognize that your body knows best, and your body knows more than anybody else or any other list or handout that anybody could give you. Your body knows what you need. And it takes a lot to dig through the layers and find out what your body is saying. But that interoceptive awareness piece really comes back to the forefront for me with intuitive eating work, and figuring out what foods you actually enjoy, what foods feel good in your body. Not only talking about hunger signals and kind of listening to your body about when to eat, but what does different foods and different meals feel like in your body? And how can you use that information to help guide your food choices when you're trying to decide what to eat later on?
Interesting.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah. There actually I have an example. I'm thinking the other day I had to drive for 3 hours and you don't pack your food and you have to stop and go through a drive through or whatever. It's we all do it. And it's, I know that if I have like a greasy burger with fries, I'm going to feel awful like after I eat that. And so I consciously think, okay, how am I going to feel in an hour after I eat this? I want to have something that is, not so greasy or not so heavy because I'm driving, I'm not moving or anything. And then so I choose, I don't choose the burger and fries or whatever. And I think, there's so many things like just like looking at the menu or seeing something I want that. But then I think, okay, how have I felt in the past when I eat that? Well, I don't feel good. My body doesn't feel good. You might have burps or whatever, right? Like, so all those things I kind of like, so it's a bit of a, you know, it's not intuitive eating. It's more just like thinking about how I feel when I eat something and how I want to feel. So is that kind of an example?
it is. And I would argue that that is intuitive eating because you're letting your sensations and the way that your body feels help guide your food choices. And I like to propose also a flip side to this because with intuitive eating, a lot of people tend to say, if you ate junk food for an entire day, you wouldn't feel very good, would you? And I also like to bring up that if you just ate salad for an entire day, that wouldn't give you the energy that you need. A
Right.
lot of people, it would make you feel pretty bloated. You would get hungry very soon after eating. And so that's the flip side. There is a happy medium in there. We
Yes.
need these pieces of nutrition, the carbs, the fats, the protein, the all of these pieces play into how satisfying a food is.
Yes.
So it's kind of important to think about both sides, but your example that you're talking about, definitely something that we consider with intuitive eating. And if you know that you're going to go 4 or 5 hours without a meal, but you're not feeling hungry quite yet, it's probably a good decision for your body to have something to eat right now so that when the 4 or 5 hours go by, you're not getting starving and painfully hungry. And in my case, angry and cranky because you haven't
Angry.
had anything to eat. So there is a bit of planning and organizing that comes into it too about, how we can prepare for a day that maybe you're not able to honor each hunger signal the minute that it comes up, which is the reality for a lot of people, especially when we're working or traveling. If you feel hunger, it's very common that we're not just able to get up at a moment's notice and have something to eat.
I think, yeah. And I honestly think it's okay to feel hungry. Like as long as you don't have diabetes and you're going to have a blood sugar low or, you're going to pass out. I think it's okay. Like if it's been, 2 hours and you haven't eaten and you're feeling hunger, like that's when you kind of ask, is this like stomach hunger? Like, do I really need to eat or is it more of a craving? Or, like that's where all the, reasons for eating come in. Like, what is this? Is, emotional, like a heart hunger or mouth hunger or stomach hunger? Like, do I really need to eat? So it's also like asking yourself, or maybe I just need a glass of water, or maybe I need to go for a walk, or, so that's the other thing. And I think so many people too, and we all do this. If, you're going out and you don't know when you're eating next, or you don't think about it, you might think, oh, I better eat something right now because I don't know when the next meal's coming. And so you're kind of preemptively, even though maybe you just ate, like if you just had your breakfast and then you're like, oh, I don't know when I'm going to eat again. I'm going to eat again, just now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, there's so many things to it. And I like the idea of listening to internal cues to help determine like, am I really hungry and should, is it time to eat for me right now? So yeah, it's just, there's so much to it. Right. And I think so many of us go through life just on autopilot and just like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. And then, you kind of reach for whatever and not really, like you said, put some planning or some, kind of like thinking ahead into the whole idea of eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what you brought up about the different kinds of hunger, because there are like hunger does show up in a number of different ways. It can be physical, it can be taste hunger, emotional hunger. And I like to remind people that you don't need to search for a reason to eat. And any kind of hunger is valid. And I find that language of like, do I really need to eat right now? It can sometimes be a little bit harmful for people because they'll find a lot of reasons to say no. And again, if you keep thinking about food and you just want a bite of, I made a lemon cake the other week, and there was a lot of times where I was working in my office and I was like, I just want a bite of my lemon cake. And I would keep thinking about it. And I'll be like, that's fine. I'm going to just go and I'm going to have a bite because I want it and because it would make me happy to taste that.
Totally.
And that's okay too.
Yeah. When we were cavemen, like, whatever generations of whatever years ago, I mean, when there was food, we ate, we didn't think of like food rules or whatever. It's like, oh, there's food available, I'm going to eat, it's so funny because now it's like, we have so much food available all the time. It's like
all the
feast
time.
all the time.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. But at the same time, it is pleasurable and we do eat for many other reasons than just for the nutrients. So no, I love that. I love that you made that lemon cake and I kind of want to hear more about that later, but
oh yeah.
That's awesome. So do you do groups now? Like how do your services work for people that are looking for your help?
At the moment, I just work one-on-one with clients. I am in the process, and I have been for a while, of developing a group program. And the group aspect is something that I'm really excited for. And I want to make sure that I really plan something that I strongly believe in. And I organize a structure and a program style that I think will work for the kinds of clients that I like to work with. My services at the moment in BC, I work with people in a dietitian capacity. So this does also encompass the intuitive eating work, because all of the nutrition and clinical nutrition work that I do, I approach from an anti-diet and health at every size perspective. And so I kind of inevitably incorporate some intuitive eating principles into that. And then I also offer body image coaching and, body image work on the side as well.
Cool. Holy, that's really cool. Body image coaching. Okay.
Yeah. It's newer right now. I spent about 9 or 10 months working with a body image coach out of the States, who helps kind of teach professionals how to teach body image. And I felt like I needed more guidance and direction with, developing body image coaching skills, because I don't have the lived experience of being in a larger body. And I find that getting those perspectives and understanding body image from a trauma-informed place is so essential, especially if I'm going to be working with people in larger bodies.
For sure.
I think that those perspectives are, they need to be heard. And so I needed more confidence in my own coaching, and I sought that support over the last 9 or 10 months. And I'm finally offering this as a service. And it's been incredibly rewarding for the clients that I have done this work with. And I'm just so excited to incorporate more of it and incorporate some of those things as well into the group program, which I'm hoping to launch in the next few months here in the middle of the summer, or, towards September timing. And I'll be having a wait list for that open up soon, and some other things kind of happening in the sidelines in the background as well.
Well,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and that is so awesome. I'm really excited that you're going to have these programs for people. And I love the fact that you mentioned earlier, before we started recording, that you will be teaching third-year nursing students about nutrition at the University of British Columbia in the Okanagan campus. I just am so thrilled that this message is going to be given, or like, it's so important for the health system, like in healthcare and in nursing care. I think I'm so excited that you're doing this. This is really needed.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it as well, and it's something that I'm really passionate about, especially given that I graduated only 2 years ago, so I'm fresh in that
Totally.
healthcare field.
Yeah, you'll be the
And
same age as a lot of your students. That's so cool. Good for
yeah,
you. What a feather in your hat too. Like I just think we need more. We need more dietitians teaching nursing students and teaching doctors about importance of nutrition and diet culture and the whole health at any size and intuitive eating. And I think that is so critical in our healthcare system.
it's an important perspective to share. And speaking of that, that is kind of the other side of my offerings, as I do work with providers and health professionals to help address and assess their weight bias, to help cultivate a weight inclusive and welcoming environment in their practice, and to really just educate on the impacts and the consequences of weight stigma. Because
How do they receive that when you're teaching? Are they kind of like they didn't realize they were doing that, or do you know what I mean?
well, yeah, I've done some workshops and presentations for a lot of healthcare students previously, and I get a lot of kind of pushback. They say, "Oh, but I learned this, and I learned that BMI is an indicator that I should
Oh,
look at."
Oh,
that word. I knew it was going to come up. I'm so glad that you said it, because I think that's just like the kryptonite for so many women, especially older
Yeah.
women. BMI, body mass index, and what a lot of health professionals talk about for health. And oh, it can be so frustrating for people. And I'm so glad you mentioned it. Sorry to interrupt, but
It is.
yeah, it
No,
needed
that's
to be
okay.
said.
That's
Yeah.
okay. There's a growing body of evidence and research that talks a lot about the harms of weight stigma and weight bias in healthcare, and I do bring that into the education and the presentations that I do. And it's so unfortunate that, especially for people in larger bodies that go in to seek healthcare, and they just get the response of, "Oh, well, you just need to lose weight and then your problems will go away."
Oh my God,
And
that's like 90% of the
it is.
clients that I
yeah.
counsel one-to-one. Is the referral comes through like on a piece of paper. It's, from the doctor saying needs to lose weight, needs to lose weight. That's like the little quote. Like that's the quote on the referral, needs to lose weight. And then the first thing I always ask the client or the patient, so why are you here today? And I want to I want to know why they came, not why the doctor said that they need to lose weight, or, their perspective. I want to hear from the patient. But anyways, so go ahead.
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of clients for the same reason as well. And it kind of, those first few sessions are unlearning that advice and why that is problematic. And it can be hard as a dietitian. And I'm sure that you understand that, like, it kind of feels bad to go against another health professional that this client trusts and say, look, what they've told you can be really harmful. But with the students that I teach and the other health providers and professionals that I talk about this with, I like to bring up, a couple things. And it's, how do you actually cultivate an environment in a clinic or in a space that is welcoming for people in larger bodies? So that might include, having chairs that are bigger, or having exam tables that don't, rattle and shake when somebody sits on them, not doing weights as part of a regular assessment. And if they do really need a weight, offering to do a blind weight, or at the least making sure that they have very good reason for why they need this weight, and being able to explain that to the
I love
patient,
that.
because
Yes. Yes.
these people can be incredibly triggered. Even myself, I don't want to go to the doctor and be weighed and then be judged for like whatever that number on the scale is.
Totally. Yeah, it's not reflecting your health at all.
No, and it's so triggering.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
harmful. And there's I'm not sure of the woman's name, but there's a case in the States right now where a woman in a larger body, was seeking healthcare, seeking advice for some symptoms, and got blown off and just said, you just need to lose weight and your problems will go away. And eventually got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And it's terminal. And now she's kind of using her case to expose and, build awareness of why weight bias is so harmful, because these things could have been caught earlier.
Yes.
And these doctors that have these like non-evidence-based opinions about weight and health, and believe that just people in larger bodies are unhealthy, period, are truly causing harm.
Yeah, that's so true. Yes.
So yeah, it's there. I feel like this could be a whole nother episode about the fat phobia in the medical industry, and weight bias and weight stigma in healthcare, and the consequences and the harms of that come directly from health professionals.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's a whole, we are inviting you back, because there is so much more. Like, we are seriously just like scraping the tip of the iceberg here.
I was going to say, I think you've got a long road ahead of you, Sandra, with the amount of information you're going to collect, and it'll be interesting to sort of tap into that in another 6 months after you've explored this a bit more.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for kind of the opportunities that will come from getting more involved with the university and with the teaching role, because I have these two really huge passions, and one is working with clients and helping them feel empowered in their bodies and comfortable and free from diet culture. And this other side is the prevention aspect of working with healthcare providers and professionals to make sure that the care that they are providing is not causing direct harm and is free of that weight stigma and weight bias, but also reminding them that, we all start somewhere, and it's pretty likely that most people in healthcare have caused harm on this side. And if you're just starting to identify your weight bias and assess that now, like, that's all that we can ask, is for people to start, and for people to start growing awareness of the impacts of this. And what they then do with that information, I don't have any control over, but at least I'm starting to challenge those thoughts and the narratives that they have been taught about the fact that weight equals health.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, good for you. That's amazing.
I love the work you're doing, and I love that you're early in your career, and that you have so much passion for this topic and for your mission. I'm going to call it a mission, because it is. I mean, that's a big.
Totally.
You have a lot of goals, and I love it, and I think you're going to hit them all out of the park. I mean, this is amazing. And I'm so excited that you're teaching the new healthcare workers and healthcare professionals coming up the ranks, that they're going to be in, with helping people, helping patients. And instead of using the language, the BMI and lose weight, and, those kind of messages that patients hear over and over and over again, you are teaching you're teaching the teacher. So I'm so glad, like, this is super important work that you're doing, Sandra. I'm like, I've got goosebumps actually.
Thank you. And
No, thank you.
Honestly, I do over here too, because you're right. I have a huge passion for all of this, and I am always reaching for more education and to learn more and to seek the expertise and the education from people with the lived experience, because it's those voices that we need to hear more of, the people that are really getting directly impacted by these narratives and these beliefs. And I do have really big goals. And I also really believe that the work that I do and the work that I can and will do will have a large impact. And it's just about, it's a hard thing starting a private practice. And it's just like, when that momentum gets going, I think it's going to be a big thing. And I'm really excited for when that time comes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, you're such an inspiration. It's been really good hearing everything, all your plans and your goals, and I think it will be really motivating for people to hear these messages from you.
Thank you.
I have a bit of a personal question, and you don't have to answer, or we don't have to talk about it if you feel like it's too too personal. But was there, like, did you have any issues when you were in your university career? I think I heard you on another podcast, Krista Coe, Dietitian Success Center, and I think you mentioned that you were into rowing, and that was before you got into dietetics. Is that right?
Yeah, that was in my first year at the university and kind of a little bit into the second year. And I will talk about this, and I'll also will link the article in the show notes, because I did write a piece all about this specific journey, about my experience in sport and the comments about weight that I received, and my journey with body image and striving for that thin ideal really goes back to middle school. And I got comments from classmates. And when I did start getting involved in sport, I got really involved in synchronized swimming to start with. And that sport is a hard one, because I was in a bathing suit for those 4 years that I was involved in that. And the small, skinny girls were the ones that were successful and the ones that were praised. And then when I went into university, I was part of the varsity rowing team. And I had a comment from a coach at, one of our meetings. And she said, "Oh, if you could just lose 35 pounds."
What?
35 pounds?
Yeah, I know. Then I could row with the lightweight boat.
Oh,
Well, I could do that and then be malnourished and have no muscle and then just stop being an athlete.
exactly. Oh my gosh. A comment like that sticks with you for your lifetime, because it's somebody in a position of authority. Oh my gosh.
And I mean, I feel like the other thing that was a big impact for me was Instagram and Facebook were just growing exponentially when I was in middle and high school. And I definitely admit that, like, I followed some accounts and got involved in some, quote unquote Fitspo pages and would look up to these women with that like ideal thin body and say, "Oh, if I just did that workout and ate like that, maybe I can look like her." And, I'm only 2 years out of university right now, and I feel incredibly privileged to be having the exposure that I've had to intuitive eating and have sought the supports that I have for my own personal body image support, and to be the age that I am and realize these things and have done the work, and to have built a trusting and positive relationship with my own body, because I see all those women that, even the women in their 90s at the care home that are still saying, no, I don't need dessert because it's too many calories.
Oh my God.
Yes, I see that all the time too.
I encourage, those listening that are interested in this to definitely take a look at the article that I wrote all about, how my involvement in sport shaped my body image for the worse, I would say. Definitely introduced some challenges and struggles with my body that I hadn't had prior to doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's really powerful, Sandra. I'll check that article out for sure, because it's always interesting sort of hearing these stories, personal stories, right? And you were saying before you weren't in a position because you didn't have that kind of, well, you said you weren't in a larger body, but I think you've experienced enough through what you went through to be a good role model and to be able to speak that language to people. I think you're a perfect inspiration.
Thank you. Yeah, I've definitely had my own experiences with, weight stigma, but I really do have to say that as a person in a straight-sized body and somebody that can go into the majority of stores and find clothes that fit, the stigma and the bias and the judgment that people that are in larger bodies receive is so different. And as a person with a smaller body, I can't say that I relate, because saying that, and being like, oh, I know what it's like, is actually harmful to their experiences.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the oppression that they face, in so many areas of their life, talking about employment, the wages, just the judgment from healthcare, as we were talking about. And in, a specific one is on airplanes. Been a lot of kind of stories about that on social media recently. But the oppression that people in larger bodies face in society is still rampant. And I don't think that it's something that people in smaller bodies who have experienced some distress with body image can say that they relate to. But what I can say is that I recognize the harm and the impact that would have on those people's self-esteem and confidence and mental health and well-being in general. And I think that's, that says something, but I will continue to say that it's so important to receive perspectives from people with the lived experience.
Yeah, I
absolutely.
Agree. That's
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I know that just teaching the Craving Change classes, and people feel comfortable to speak because they're in a similar boat. And so it's kind of nice. It gives them a place to feel not alone anymore and to see that other people are feeling the same way. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying for sure. I do have one last question that we do ask all our guests, and it's getting to be like a little bit of a just to get to know you a bit better in terms of what you like. What dish would you bring to a potluck, like a family gathering or a friend gathering?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this question since you sent it to me. And this is, considering that we're coming into summer, this is one of my favorite dishes that I often will make for, a group of friends or my family when we get together. And I do this pasta salad with arugula and bocconcini and basil and like a balsamic dressing, and, throw some tomatoes in there and some garlic.
I am
Oh my God, I want that for lunch. That's
good.
so delicious.
It's one of the most popular ones in my family for sure.
I can imagine. It sounds really fresh
delicious.
and wow.
Do you have a name for it, or is it just one you make that it has no name at this point, but just?
It's just known as the pasta salad in my family because it's kind of the main one that we do. But
Love it.
that's a
Love
good
it.
point. Maybe I'll have to come up with my own name for it.
It'll be Sandra's
Yeah,
salad.
like Sandra's salad.
Yeah.
That's right. Sandra's pasta salad. What
Yeah.
kind of dressing?
It's honestly like just some like minced garlic with olive oil and balsamic glaze.
Oh,
Nice.
oh my
Oh.
gosh. That's okay, Rob. That's what we're having for lunch today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're coming over later.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just to bring up on a side note, pasta is so often demonized in
Oh, totally.
diet culture, and pasta is something that brings me a lot of happiness.
Oh
Me
yeah.
too. I love
For sure.
pasta. Oh my gosh.
I just, you see these summer salads being made that have like quinoa and kale and fiber to the max. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit over here and really enjoy and savor my pasta salad with just some white pasta.
Totally. Oh my God. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. We eat pasta at least 4 times a week in this house or more. I mean, it's the big staple. All different shapes and sizes and types, and like smart pasta, white pasta, whole wheat pasta, fresh pasta, or, like all of it. Love it.
Yeah.
Have you tried the sourdough pasta?
Oh my gosh, no.
What?
You gotta go find it.
Oh my God, that sounds delicious. Wow. Made with sourdough bread, like sourdough flour.
Flour. Interesting.
Yeah, they use like this sourdough starter in it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how they make it. It's just called sourdough pasta. So
that sounds
cool.
so good. It would have a bit of a sour flavor, I guess.
Yeah, kind of that similar flavor to a loaf of sourdough bread, but there's just like a bit more of a flavor to it. And the texture is like just the perfect amount of chewy. It doesn't like dissolve like some pastas when you overcook it. Yeah. So take a look next time you're in the grocery store. Yeah.
I definitely will.
Is it fresh? Like, I guess do you know what I mean? Or it's not like the hard?
It is a hard pasta.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It is local. I don't know it's from BC.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, somewhere. We'll scope it out. Try to track that down because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, we'll have to do like a nutrition nuggets in the future, Rob, about just our experience with the sourdough pasta. Recommendation from Sandra Thies. Yeah, it's awesome. Oh my gosh, Sandra, thank you so much for all of your amazing insight and your information and just what you're doing in the world. Oh, we need more of you. We need to clone you.
Thank you. I so appreciate hearing that, and it's nice to hear. And anybody out there who's listening, whether you're a person that's brand new to intuitive eating or interested in body image work, or if you're a provider that is wanting to get a little bit more experience or education on how to cultivate a weight inclusive practice, don't hesitate to send me an email. We'll pop my email also in the show notes, and reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram is just Embracing Intuition. And I love to chat. So please don't hesitate to send me a message, ask me a question, reach out anytime.
What's your email address? Or sorry, not your email, your website.
Embracingintuition.ca.
Okay, there we go. So that's where people can find you. Yeah, we'll definitely include that in the show notes with your other contact information as well, so people can track you down.
What a cool company name. I just love that. Like just, embracing intuition. It just says it as it is. I love it. That's great.
Yeah, I chose that before I graduated, actually, and I'm so happy that I did because it really rings true with all of the work that I do.
It really does, yeah.
I think that our intuition and trusting our gut, there's so much power there. And when we can tune into that, that's when we can step into feeling empowered and free in our bodies.
Absolutely. Hallelujah. I agree. Oh, thank you so much, Sandra. And we'll definitely have you back in a future episode, and we'll delve even deeper in some of these these issues of mindful eating and intuitive eating and hunger cues. And there's just so much. So yes, thanks again. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back. And thank you so much again for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
That was so great talking with Sandra.
Yeah, she's super passionate, hey?
Oh, yeah. And just so much information and just all of her background with helping women and also educating the nurses at University of British Columbia. I think it's so amazing what all this she's doing.
Good for her. It'll be cool to check back with her in about 20 years and see where she's at. She's got some big goals. I love seeing young people like that who are super eager and passionate and they have like a really solid plan.
Audacious goals.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to see that. So
I love it. Yeah. And she has like the drive and the passion to get it done. And yeah, it's amazing.
Exactly. There we go.
Yeah. And we'll check back with her before 20 years though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Well, hopefully that was another informative episode for everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
And there is a blog that will go with this.
Right. The article that Sandra Thies wrote, you can find that on the website.
And what do we have next week?
We have Dietitian Projecta Apta from Right Nutrition Works.
And we're talking about gut health, right?
That's right. Yeah. Leaky gut. Is it a real thing? And ways to help keep your gut healthy.
Nice. Yeah, that will be next Monday. And we're doing the guided meditation, I think, for Nutrition Nuggets, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Walk through the forest.
Another one of Sandra's lulling little meditation. What do you call them?
Like guided
meditation. Yeah. So we thought we'd throw another one of those in. So that'll be Wednesday. It'll just be like the last one we did where it just kind of starts. Yeah. So we're just letting you know now that's kind of what it'll be.
Right, so that your voice isn't in there. It's just the lully music.
Yeah, because you don't want Rob in there. Rob doesn't lull. Rob doesn't have the lulling voice. All right, so check out our Facebook page, Instagram, our YouTube, as usual, like we always ask you to do. There's lots of new things there. The website, there's a few new blogs on there you can check out. If you have questions, give us an email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to rate and review the show. That's always helpful. And until Wednesday, have a good week, everyone.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for joining us today on My Wife, the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.